Hi everyone, hope you guys are all having a great day today. Today's video, I'm going to cover the whole entire market in terms of Dow Jones, Nasdaq, and S&P 500, including the economic calendar. Now, I do post these videos daily, so I highly encourage you to double check the latest videos on X and YouTube, so that way you get the most up-to-date information. And before we get to the analysis portion, I'm going to go over the economic calendar. So for Tuesday, July 16th, 2024 at 8:30 a.m., we have U.S. retail sales, as well as retail sales minus autos, as well as import price index, and import price index minus fuel. And then at 10 a.m. we have business inventories as well as home builder confidence index. And at 2:45 p.m. we have Fed Gov Adriana Kugler speak. Now for the analysis portion, based off MAC lines, which are not 100% accurate all the time, not accurate, but you can't rely on them 100%. They indicate if it's a bearish or bullish movement. As you can see right here, MAC line, this is indicating a bearish movement to the downside potentially. This is for the Dow Jones, but for the S&P and Nasdaq, they're more between, showing like a little bit of consolidation, but the Dow Jones does show to the downside for the most part, not in terms of long term, obviously, but for the shorter term, it seems to be dropping. Like for example, here's the Dow Jones, upward trend resistance line dating back since 2021, and upward trend support level dating back since April of 2024. And you could see we're at the limits. And for the short term, it seems like it's going to be dipping down. So for example, for the 1 month chart, bearish movement, 3 month chart, bearish movement crossed over, and the 6 month chart potentially going to cross over to the downside. Still in the bullish movement, but potentially crossing down. But then in the long term, 1 year chart, it's in the bullish, and then the 5 year chart about to cross over to a bullish. So what I'm anticipating is it will potentially break through to this upward trend resistance line, creating even more all-time highs, because right now we're at all-time highs for the Dow Jones. You can see since the beginning till now, we're at the all-time highs. So I'm expecting a potential dip if the MACD lines hold true, and then break through and create more higher highs. Like you can see in the 1 year chart, bullish movement still strong, right? Now, if that's the case, what's the levels? Again, this is for the Dow Jones. And first we have to break the previous all-time high, which is about 40,350 points. Currently we're at 40,211 points. And then to break through this upward trend resistance line, again, my lines are not perfect, I would say, but they're about 40,300 points, pretty much clean for the most part. And then after that, potentially for the downside to cover that might be happening for the short term, we could have support at the 40,150 points, give or take, or the previous all-time high wave, which is roughly about, which I wouldn't rely on because it's only one touch point, but about 40,076 points, give or take, or 40 points between that range. And then I would say you could rely on this potentially right about here, because right about here we have previous resistance lines, which could act as support. So 1, 2, 3, 4 touch points, give or take, in the range of about 39,000, showing 39,888 points, but about 39,900 points, give or take. And if it does break through there, then the next level would be based off the moving average with some touch points as well when I checked earlier, about 39,655 points, or 39,650 points, give or take right there. But yeah, so that's the support levels I'm thinking to the downside, and then potentially bouncing up to the upside. Once it bounces off one of those support levels, whether it breaks through all of them. In case if you think it's going to go even further down just based off the moving averages, you could potentially find support at this moving average, 39,415 points and 39,093 points. Mind you, these do move as the trading day goes by. And if you think this upward trend support level is going to be met again once we drop down, you're looking at, let me extend it a little bit, pretty much if you think we're going to significantly drop, let's say tomorrow's trading day, because the longer it takes, the higher the low will be. You're looking at 38,396 points. There's that. Now for the S&P, I'm going to be looking at the ETF SPY, which is the same thing. It's just a different ratio. And first, even though it's showing for the most part ups and downs consolidation for the S&P and Nasdaq, basically we have to pass the previous all-time highs. But the first level that I'm looking at to potentially break is when I checked it earlier, it was about $536.50, give or take, and we're at $561.53. The reason why I'm basing that off of potentially a level to be broken is if you go across here, it's not really a perfect line. If I lower it, maybe that's like the case, but essentially it's around $563.50, give or take. And then you got to pass the all-time high previously, which was about $564 and some change, maybe 78 cents, give or take, and then that's it. But I don't think necessarily potentially tomorrow we could break the 564 and some change, just because the markets are showing somewhat of a consolidation based off MAC lines for the S&P and Nasdaq, but we'll see. But to the downside, we could be expecting support at the 560 and some change, and then based off the moving average by 560 and some change, which collides with previous support levels and the moving average, then the next level you could be hoping for support is 559 and some change, like we saw today. 559 and some change did work. Then the next moving average is 558 and some change, and then we would come down to this level where we saw consolidation resistance and consolidation support right about here, which is about 556 and some change. And I'm expecting, in my opinion, that this would hold right about here, cross this support level of consolidation 2 times. Not the greatest line, but pretty much right about here. So consolidation support, somewhat of a consolidation support, and you're looking at support at 555 and some change. Could it go lower? Yeah, it could, because we saw a massive dip, but this was pre-market, so I wouldn't be worried too much about it. And before, obviously, it dipped lower. But 555 and some change, if everything goes crazy, I think would hold us. And then the last moving average is about 552 and some change. So there's that. Now for QQQ, which is an ETF for Nasdaq, so just different ratio. Again, showing more of a consolidation based off the MAC lines. We'll see. Again, the tech movements, or not tech movements, but in terms of the mega cap stocks, which tend to be tech stocks, could dictate the movement of stocks. So for example, if like Tesla starts rallying like crazy tomorrow, that could lift the stock regardless of the consolidation that's being shown. And then plus the volatility index right now, I'd say is still relatively low. So it's nothing showing any drastic movement to the downside or anything, but anything's possible still, right? So now to the upside, potentially what we have to, right now we're at $496.15. But to the upside, we have to break resistance, which is pretty much around the $499 and $500 clean price point. Once that's broken up, we could potentially meet resistance at the 501 and some change, but I'm not really expecting that. I'm expecting more resistance around this, where we saw like resistance consolidation the whole entire time. There was a little bit of a spike up. So if you want to include that too, you're looking at $503 and some change. And this consolidation is like 502 on the high end of some change. So 502, 89, 90 cents kind of thing. And then the previous all-time, not previous all-time high, because the previous all-time high is around the 502, 503. But if you want to go for the pre-market, you're looking at 505 and some change. So that is to the high side. Again, anything's possible, because if the tech sector / mega cap stocks move like crazy sporadic to the upside, then they'll carry, especially the Nasdaq, to the upside. Now, in terms of support, or actually one thing, this moving average could act as a resistance, which is about 497 and some change. Now, in terms of support to the downside, we could have support based off the moving average and some touch points too. Actually, you could see if you go horizontally, it's not going to be the cleanest, but you could hopefully get the idea. So right about there, you could kind of see a resistance, a little bit of consolidation support, and then support right there, and then support right about here in the pre-market. Nothing crazy. I wouldn't really rely on those lines, more on the moving average. And you're looking at 496 and some change. Then the next price point, you're looking at 494 and some change. And then you could argue 494 is some change, but then I think it would come down to this, where the moving average is. So 490 and some change, which is the moving average plus support consolidation points plus support consolidation points right about here. So 490 and some change, I think, would hold us for quite a bit, actually. We could come down to lower levels, obviously. We saw resistance here and so on and so forth, and that is about 486 and some change. But I don't really anticipate that for tomorrow. But again, anything is possible. We'll see. But that's basically it for today's video. Thanks again for watching. I do appreciate it. This is just all my opinion for entertainment purposes, so please do your own due diligence and research before buying and selling. I do post these videos daily, so consider subscribing so you'll be notified when I do upload them on X and YouTube. And if you found this video beneficial, consider just dropping a like. It does help with the channel, so thank you so much for that. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Thanks. Bye.